You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
All right, good evening. Welcome into Greenie Sports Cards Live. My name is Jeremy Levine, the man about town here in Cleveland, Ohio, and we are the world's first multi-stream broadcast collectible show for the hobby industry. And why is that so? Well, we are the first to actually stream to you on multiple platforms, coming to you on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitch, on Twitter, the X, Instagram, YouTube, and a number of other points in between. And then we have the live auction component that goes on eBay Live. So really, we were the first to stick that flag in the ground, come to you live, talking about collectibles, talking to you with special guests, talking to you with Greenie, talking to you with the Greenie team and staff. And then, of course, our auctioneer extraordinaire, Alex, who goes live at 9 o'clock across the eBay platform. And then Alex does his show as well on Thursdays. So it's been a pleasure to be with all of you. The audience continues to grow week over week as we bring you hobby news and content. And there's going to be more of that this evening. We've got Adam will be joining us shortly, along with Greenie, to talk about some new products, some new updates. We've got a lot of hobby news to go over this evening. We may have some special guests to join. We didn't want to announce that quite yet because of some schedule potential conflicts, but that'll be exciting if that rolls in. But there's plenty to go over, plenty to discuss in the hobby world and the sports world, and give you some announcements and talk about some shows coming up here in the next few weeks. So very, very cool stuff. On the auction tip, we'll talk to Greenie a little bit more detail about this, but really, if you haven't been a part of that, head over to eBay Live, in particular at 9 o'clock tonight Eastern. It will be on all the streams that you may be watching now, of course, on for Greenie Sports Cards Live. And Alex starts all the auctions at $2. He's got football, basketball, baseball. He's got hockey. He's got wrestling. He's got soccer. And the show is really driven by you, the audience, just as we are here. And you can comment on any of those platforms that you may be watching and consuming this program, and join the show. Ask the questions, provide your comments. We can put those up and interact with you across the country, wherever you may be watching from. So let us know. And then when you join Alex, let him know which direction you want to go. He's got some really cool stuff that they'll offer. You can unlock that unlimited shipping, which starts at $4.99. So the more auctions you win, the more you can include in that one-time shipping fee, and have a lot of fun. He does a tremendous job, is very knowledgeable about both products and the sports themselves. It's a very unique combination of somebody who can be entertaining and know the product and provide you a trusted source for your auction. So you want to make sure you follow on eBay Live, follow us on all the socials, join in the show and comment, and continue this ride with us. We've had tremendous amount of guests since we started this enterprise in late January, and it will continue on into the coming weeks and hopefully into 2025. So I want to go ahead and bring in the man himself, the namesake of Greenie Sports Cards. Greenie, how you doing this evening?
Doing well, Jeremy. Doing well. It's turned into winter here in Cleveland, Ohio, really quickly, and
It
it's
it
a nice cold day today.
I think I could tell you the exact moment it happened on a Thursday night at Cleveland Browns Stadium. The switch flipped and it was winter. We were in a snow globe and it hasn't ceased since.
It hasn't. It hasn't. I was in the Midwest in Buffalo, Missouri, not New York, Missouri, this past weekend, and it wasn't too cold, but as soon as we started heading east, the snow started coming and it got chilly. So winter's here, and that's fine because we have a lot to do inside, which we'll go over when we bring Adam on, and we'll talk about what's going on with our events for pretty much the end of the year. So
Greenie, is that Missouri Loves Company or Misery Loves Company?
that, I don't know. I don't know. It's one. It's but if you live there, it's not Missouri. It's Missouri.
Missouri.
So
Yeah. How come
yeah.
Missouri loves company? But well, let's talk about that a little bit before we bring Adam in. So we caught a quick view of you last week from the Arch in St. Louis. We had Ray Prisby on, who is one of 12 fans to be inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That was a really awesome conversation with Ray. He's got some incredible stuff. We learned a lot about that process. But in the meantime, you were also coming off of the Chicago Sports Spectacular. Tell us a little bit about what you learned there. It's another major event in the U.S. where the industry and the hobbies come together. What can you tell us coming out of that?
I mean, there's obviously a lot to come when you go to one of these major shows. The biggest takeaway is this is not dying anytime soon. I mean, there was, I don't know, 400 or 500 tables, and I know that's a big difference, 400 or 500, but there was a lot. Um, a bigger show than normal for the Chicago Sports Spectacular by several tables. There was lines to get in. There were people there all day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, none of that is dying down. And I know that money was changing hands, whether it was, paper money or electronic money. It was changing hands. And I know that people were buying, and I know people were selling too, because people were walking around selling stuff. And that's typical with the holidays too. But I just still think that cards are relevant of the popular players like the quarterbacks and the running backs and the point guards, and coming off of the Otani and Judge and then the MVPs, and Adam can talk more about the MVP buybacks with Tops, but the stuff is still changing hands at a rapid pace, and um, your your goats that we want to call them, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Tom Brady, those guys still sell very well. So, that is that something that we learned? No, but people keep saying, well, it's going to die, it's going to die down. And, it just hasn't yet. So, and I hear that from other shows across the country. Moeller High School, they just had their show. They do a big show, Cincinnati Moeller High School, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Larkin. They do a show in Thanksgiving weekend and in April. And my friend Mike was down there, and he said it was completely packed. And Shriners in Boston is a big show that's been going on for years. My friend Johnny was there, and he said it was as good as ever. So it is not slowing down at all. And thankfully we have 3 more shows, Greenie Sports Card shows to end the year, and we're getting calls every day about booking tables or we're coming to your show. So none of it's slowing down, and I don't know if that's going to happen at the beginning of next year either, or if we're just going to continue to go.
I still think there's something magical and irreplaceable about the socialization of events and the ability to interact with other people and the tactile nature of memorabilia and cards. There might have been a fear along the way of this proliferation of online trading and buying and selling and the things we do on Tuesday and Thursday and everybody else does across the country. And the fact you can go on eBay and buy and you can go on whatnot. But the reality is there is something magical about going to a show, and whether it's the smell of the cardboard or the opportunity to just talk sports and engage with other people. I don't think that'll ever go away. And the two together have kind of enhanced each other because people are now thinking cards and investing and collecting every day, every week. And then these events serve as a linchpin and a gathering point.
No question, too. And while we talk about those star players and greatest of all times, there's something to be said by, like, who are you looking for? And they say Michael Jordan. And say, okay, we'll look in this box. Well, next thing you know, they buy cards of 12 other players. There's just something to be said about digging through a box or looking through a showcase and buying something that you didn't think you were going to buy. And that happens all the time. I mean, we do it, so um, the online is fun, of course. We do it. Alex will do it later tonight, and we list cards on eBay, and we're putting things on our website now. But you know, to be able to go to a store or go to a show and flip through something, there's just you can't replace that, and you cannot capture that online.
One thing we as Greenie Sports Cards are very keen about with the events is evolving from what had been sort of the traditional hotel shows or smaller school shows or gymnasium shows, and really looking at the experiential side of things and making sure that when people come to a Greenie event, and even the bigger events like the Great Lakes Collectors Convention, that it isn't just about rows of tables, that there's an interactivity to it, that there's a bit of excitement and engagement and an experiential nature of whether that's seeing mascots walking across the floor or meeting players and shooting baskets with collegiate athletes or kicking soccer balls with professional soccer players. We've really tried to take that to heart. Now, while we don't have Fanatics money and industry money, there is something to be said for the experiential nature of the show. And there was an announcement that just came out that we will share and then talk about this as well from the voice of the man himself, Michael Rubin. We'll tell you what's going on. So there you go from Michael Rubin himself. That announcement came out. Fanatics Fest, June 20th and 22nd next year. We've said this before. The events are not easy. Not that everybody thinks they can do them, but a lot of people don't realize the amount of moving parts and things that go into it, and that your team and the Greenie team take on to do these. Fanatics had a very ambitious approach this year. They did launch in New York. They had a couple of false starts, a couple of cancellations. What do you expect now that they figured out and have gotten right heading into next year?
Well, they figured out that event works, Fanatics Fest. I don't know if they're going to continue down the road of trying card shows or little mini events, but the Fanatics Fest, from what everybody has said, was unbelievable. Did it make money for Fanatics? All accounts says no. We're not privy to that information, only just what people tell you, that they did lose in the millions of dollars on that. I don't know, but I know that there was a lot of people there. There was, I think they said like 300 celebrities, and I think he said, Michael Rubin said they're going to go up to like 500 celebrities. I think that the reason that they picked June is they can get basketball, football, and even some select baseball players who could be in town. I'm sure they've looked at the schedule and seen. I didn't look, but the Yankees and Mets are probably home. Some soccer players, and then of course the wrestling and the UFC and whatever else. If I recall, June is when the NBA or WNBA finals or beginning. I'm sorry, their basketball season's beginning. So maybe there'll be something with that. Maybe the Indiana Fever are playing the New York Liberty that weekend. Who knows? I mean,
Sure.
Michael Rubin can put together an event. We've seen his all white parties and his Fanatics Fest. He can do that. So no doubt that this will be another amazing event. I'm sure the turnout will be great. I don't know if you have the slide, but to be a vendor there is not cheap. It's like $3,000 for a space with 3 6-foot tables. I think they give you 3 chairs, 3 badges. I think they provide the showcases for you. And I know the Javits Center is union, and you'll know way more about that than I will, Jeremy. But from what I heard, like it's not easy to get your stuff in there, your goods and wares. So it was not easy for vendors to bring stuff in there to sell. But they did it. So
And perhaps that's what they figured out. The original vision might have been, we're going to do these regionalized and maybe signature shows in 4 or 5 locations across the country, but perhaps it becomes one major event each year. And in this case, it looks like it'll be headed to New York, and they found that sweet spot of dates where they can get anybody who's anybody to join. And that, to me, the essence of an event, the value proposition of why people will attend or be interested and hand over their hard-earned discretionary funds and carve out time in their schedule to go, is if the proverbial you can create something that you cannot get anywhere else. And in essence, that's a sporting event. You're going to see something in baseball you've never seen before, in a football game. It's why people continue to go. That's the essence of an event. And what they have in Fanatics and their assets and their ability to pull this together is unlike anything else. And the question will be, what's the right threshold of affordability? Of there are people who can afford to pay exorbitant prices for experiences, but are there enough? And is there a pathway for other people, other interested parties, other hobby enthusiasts? And maybe there is, and maybe that's not what this event is. That's the Nationals, kind of its own thing, and this will become its own experience as well.
Well, something else that nobody talks about, that you are well versed more than any of us. Whatever money they lost dollar wise, just dollars and cents, how much of that lost money is advertising money? We're talking about it. I didn't go to the event. You didn't go to the event, but we're talking about it, right? And that's advertising dollars. They're reaching us. They're reaching my dad, who reads about it in the paper, and people are talking about it, and that's advertising dollars. Maybe not, in theory, they wrote a check to Odyssey or to Spectrum or whoever, but that lost money is really not lost, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure there is something, but how many people are going to go next year because they heard about it, and that's not lost money there.
Sure. We've had those conversations about events. The genesis of an event typically takes 3 to 5 years. You have to establish it and be willing to kind of grow it and water it, it, if you could look at it holistically, as we talk about, and I'm sure they do. You don't want to lose money on these events, and I'm sure Michael Rubin doesn't want to lose at anything. But they have the ecosystem to support and justify doing these types of things because it feeds everything else, whether it's the uniforms or selling more baseball cards, selling more memorabilia. At the end of the year, he's got a P&L to look at and say, we might have lost money over here, but man, we grew the business. So really fascinating stuff. We are talking about it. I would love to see that experience next year. Once they kind of retool and figure some things out, you learn a tremendous amount about the event and itself and your partners doing it that first time, doing it that second time, and continuing to evolve it and amplify what works and take away the things that don't. And, God bless them for trying. That's, say what you want about Ruben. A lot of people feel a lot of different ways about him, but we're talking about it, and he's moving the industry forward and pulling everybody along with it.
Yeah, and we'll see how long it goes. If it loses money again, or if it's it won't be a flop. Let's just say that it will be packed. There'll be 70 to 100,000 people there, and just hope that it's worth it for them.
And you just see this article from Collect that came out, the Darren Ravel's company, Ben Burrows on the article. You mentioned, more than 500 are expected in 2025. Tickets are going to go on sale December 9th, and they will open it up to those who attended last year first and foremost, and then open it up to the general public. So you can see right here, anchored by a strong fan experience, the first Fanatics Fest NYC earned an overall B grade from Collect in 24, with the trading card show and autograph signings both areas for major improvement. So they'll figure that out, and we'll keep an eye on it. We'll
there is one thing, well, a couple things also to talk about there. So they are the end of that article that Ben wrote for Collect Media says it's 37 days before the National Sports Collectors Convention. It's also going up against the Chantilly show, which is in Chantilly, Virginia, by Dulles Airport, which is run by one of the people that also puts on the National. You take that for what it's worth. I don't know. There's no secret that Fanatics wants the National, or to create a National. Are there reasons why they pick dates other than they perceivably match up with some of the athletes? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they like the sweet spot of the leagues. That's the window where you've got the most availability. I can't speak for their business or Michael or what they want to do with the National. Having been involved in not necessarily in both, but aware of both, there's a pathway for both in the industry. The National is what it is. It's a different type of event. It's the last 2 to 3 years as we've seen is unlike anything in its history. So the energy and enthusiasm is going to continue there. And there's a place for that. That'll be in Chicago. It's the center of the country. There's enough people that can get there and continue to grow. And then, as I referenced earlier, Fanatics Fest is going to be inaccessible for a lot of people based on price and location. But as an experience, it's different. And there's a place in this world for both.
I agree. It's totally different. It's an experience, and it's an event like a Comic-Con. If you're going there just thinking it's your typical card show, that's probably not going to be the right place for you to go. There will be cards there. There'll be plenty of cards. There'll be plenty of high-end cards for you to look at, but it's not the National. And the National is where you go for cards, and you'll have a week full of them in Chicago at the Donald Stevens Center. And, that's where you go for your card show, is the National.
Right. You want to try and wrestle Hulk Hogan or stand in against a Mariano Rivera fastball, you go to New York and
That's
see
right.
what happens. So,
That's
well,
right.
let's talk about what else is happening in the hobby world, and we'll bring on our resident expert, Adam, who we'll lean on for some information and what's going on in the hobby. And Adam, welcome back to Greenie Sports Cars Live.
Good evening, fellas. How we doing?
We're doing.
We're doing so. Adam, we're gonna yield the floor to you. I know there's a lot to talk about, and have at it. What's going on in the hobby world?
Well, we've got two big releases this week. We've got 2024 Bowman Draft and 2024 Panini Certified Football coming out this week. We'll talk about Bowman Draft first, as it is one of the premier releases of the year. Baseball nerds get all excited about it. It's the first time that you'll get licensed cards of the top draft picks, typically speaking, from that year's MLB draft. They usually save a couple for Bowman to come out the following year, but this year does not disappoint. I did some research and found 5 fellas that you should be on the lookout for. Connor Griffin, who was drafted by the Pirates. He's a 6'5" tool player. He's considered a tier 1 prospect that'll be in this year's Bowman draft. Nick Kurtz, who plays first base for the Oakland Athletics. He's 6'5", had 62 home runs in 3 combined NCAA seasons. Zaire Hope of the Dodgers. He was actually drafted in the 11th round of 2023 by the Cubs, but was traded to the Dodgers in the Michael Busch trade, and he's now considered one of the top prospects in all of baseball. Christian Moore of the Angels. He plays second base. He was the 8th overall draft pick. Last year, he led all of NCAA Division I in hits while hitting 34 home runs over the season. Bryce Rayner of the Detroit Tigers is a shortstop. He was 11th overall, drafted straight out of high school. He's projected to be a stud with power, pop, and being able to play defense. And of course, we can't forget about Travis Bazzana, the number 1 overall draft pick of the Cleveland Guardians. I believe he was from Oregon State, which is also where Stephen Kwan came from. He was the consensus number 1 overall draft pick by anybody that knows anything about baseball and did any reporting on it. He was clear and cut away the number 1 pick, and the Guardians got him. So the Guardians, the Tigers, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Athletics, and Pirates will all be big teams to be grabbing for in breaks. This year, it's got the staple of, prospects firsts. I don't believe there's veterans. I believe it's all prospects. However, is going to be 5 different variations, which is kind of cool. They have the standard image variation. Then there is the college chrome variation. Although with the more specific school theme, etched in glass, and the prospect special edition die cut variations are all going to be short prints that you guys need to be on the outlook for. And also the stained glass. I know last year they did it where there was 9 of them. So if you put them in a page, the stained glass would go all the way around and match up. And it was really, really, really cool insert set. I'm a set builder myself. Haven't got around to trying to build that one yet, but it's really, really neat. Then we have certified football, which is one of the staples that comes out every year. Not necessarily my favorite, but you can pull pretty sick RPIs out of the freshman fabrics. Then there's the piece of the game that has veteran autos in it. There's a lot of veteran autos in this product. There's a ton of autos throughout. The list is long, but there's Hall of Fame autos, rookie autos, veteran autos, so on and so forth. So you'll naturally want to take any of the quarterback teams and breaks, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, as he had a halfway decent game against our Browns last night. The inserts there's chase sets, the Mighty Night moves, and rookie certifications. There's no crazy short prints like there is in Mosaic or Prism, but it's still a fun set to put together. And all the rookie cards do have, I believe, are all low numbered. Let me double check that. Yeah, they're all the rookies start out at the very highest out of 400 or lower, going all the way down from that to 101. And there's two different 101s. There's a first off the line 101 and a regular 101. So, but all rookie cards will be numbered to at the very least out of 400. So that's kind of a cool thing that they do in certified, and they also do in Donruss Elite. So that's what we got coming out this week. Those are the two big products to be looking out for. I know I'm a big fan of the baseball prospects. If you want to check out prospectslive.com, they do a wonderful job detailing out all of the prospects that are going to be in this set. And you can go through and pick and choose who you want to get into breaks with, or different guys that you want to follow and collect and prospect. They do a really nice job. They have different tiers of guys, and like each team will have a tier 1, 2, 3, or 4, and on down the line. So it's a really neat website to help you out with that. But yeah, that's what's coming out this week. So look forward to those. Hopefully we can get some Bowman baseball coming in soon.
Yeah, Bowman is it is a fun product. Adam loves it. He's a baseball prospect guy for us. There's always huge hits that people chase after. So if
It's
you're into breaks,
certainly not a cheap product. I think like the
no,
regular hobby boxes are like $400, and the super jumbo hobby boxes are like almost $1,000. You
yeah,
get 3
if
autos out of the jumbo and 5 autos out of the super jumbo.
This is a huge product for breakers. Our friends at Bomber Breaks and Top Notch Sports Club, I'm sure will be ripping a ton of this, and probably our friends over at Phoenix Sports Cards on their Whatnot page. So if you're into breaks, look for those guys, and I'm sure you'll be able to hit some. Cleveland is the most expensive team and will stay that way for a while. I mean, they got some prospects.
Yeah, they always have prospects, and now they have the number 1 draft pick, so they're going to be big time for a while. Because I mean, although Bazzana might come up quick, he might not be in Bowman all that long. If he turns out, I mean, Skeens was in the minors for, I don't even think, a full season. I think he got drafted last year and spent half of his season in the minor leagues, and then came up halfway through this season. So that's only 2 Bowman releases that he was even available to be in. So
we shared the call. Tyler Danberg, who we shared an interview with from the National, he was on Bazzana's first ever home run down at the Captain's. So that's pretty cool stuff. We shared that a few shows back. Adam, speaking of shows, while we have you, you've got a couple coming up, green shows towards the end of the year. Let's talk about this big one, the vault sale. That's going to be coming up on December 14th.
Yeah, we had a great turnout this past Black Friday for the sale. The 14th will be no different. We still have plenty of boxes to be dug through. Those boxes were hit kind of hard, but when you've got, 70, 80 boxes back there, there's plenty of gems to be found in those. We'll have our normal boxes. We're actually going to be lowering the discount price on our McFarlane's and Funko Pop section. Instead of doing 20% off, we're going to do 30% off for this sale coming up on the 14th. So if you got any last minute Christmas presents you got to buy for friends or family that are big sports fans, we've got everybody from Yankees to Trout to Harper to Brady to Jamar Chase, Justin Field. I mean, we got a whole bunch of guys. Josh Allen.
I know we have a lot more cards that are priced because Big Mike's been working on those, and
Yeah, we've been
so the
firing.
Prices Mark boxes will be reloaded as well.
Yeah, those are getting filled up quick. So, and we'll have our staples, but don't forget we're also buying. Feel free to stop by, bring us stuff to check out and buy. We'll always happy to look at any collection, no matter how small or how big or how little the card value is or how big the card value is. We'll always check it out. Worst
Always
case scenario,
buying, always
we'll teach you something.
selling.
Yep.
That's right.
So, and then Greenie, on the 28th, that's the final Broadview Heights show of the year, about 100 tables or so.
It is. It is. Before that, we'll have a Kirtland show, and we'll also have our Wednesday Glen Eagles show on the 18th. So we'll go in order. So Wednesday the 18th, we'll have our midweek show at Glen Eagles Golf Course in Twinsburg. So that'll be a Wednesday afternoon. Then on the 21st will be the last Kirtland show for the year, the friendliest show where everybody knows your name. That is the 21st in beautiful Kirtland, Ohio. About 45 tables, but a phenomenal show. Very family friendly, as all our shows are. But it's just a nice little community out there in Kirtland that hopefully doesn't get pounded by a lot of snow being in that part of town. But that remains to be seen. As of now, you'll be able to get to Kirtland. And then December 28th, the last show of the year, Saturday, December 28th, the Broadview Heights show. I think we're pretty close to like 70 tables already booked for that show. So we'll probably get close to 100. And that's a great show. People love that. They show up early and they stay late. And the cafeteria that they have there is terrific. Or not a cafeteria, but whatever, concession stand. So come hang out with us for the last part of the year. We have 4 events for you to choose from, and be happy to have anybody that comes by. And Adam's been taking table requests. I think 3 or 4 people called today. Some out of town dealers that are going to come and make the trip and, wind down the end of the year with us.
Yeah, get a hold of me soon. Card shows at greeniesportscards.com or go to any of our social media. You can find our phone numbers there. Get a hold of me. And tables are filling fast. Kirtland and Broadview are getting there. They're real close.
And they get vendor rewards points.
Yeah, don't forget about the vendor rewards. Those are huge. Can be redeemed at any one of our Greenie shows.
So, Greenie, just threw that out there. Share a little bit more about what that point system means from a kind of an overview standpoint.
So, basically, every dollar you spend at being a vendor at any one of our shows goes towards your accumulation of Greenie rewards points. And I can pull up the numbers real quick. Give me just a second. And I can tell you how much you can redeem for each.
Or just give us an idea of the types of things that you can.
So basically, like I said, 1 point gets you, or $1 for every. So you spend $30 for a table at Kirtland, you get 30 points added to your total. They accumulate over time. They never expire. They never go away. We don't do a reset at the end of the year. They just continue to add. So you can redeem them at any time. You can always add to them. 100 points get you $10 off at any Greenie show. 200 points get you $30 off at any Greenie show. And 600 points get you $100 off at any Greenie show. Those can be redeemed at Medina. They can be redeemed at GLCC, Broadview, Kirtland, Great Northern Mall.
People use them.
Yeah.
People use them. We have people that, they come to, 4 or 5 shows. They start using their points. They get free table here, free table there. Sometimes they'll get a second table because, they'll buy one and get the second one because they have points.
It's a unique way for us to get back to our vendors.
Very cool. Adam, before we let you go, you guys are always buying, always selling. We're heading towards the tail end of the year here. What's the most interesting thing that walked through the door this year that you guys had to pick up?
Oh God. Oh, put me on the spot there. My favorite, I guess not the most unique, but my favorite was probably we have a gentleman who lives in Tennessee and he drives from Tennessee at the beginning of every year, always after Bowman draft drops. He gets into a ton of breaks and he always takes the tops teams and stuff like that. And he brings us all his hits and sells us all of his hits. So not only do I have a nice knowledge usually, but what's cool is he brings all these guys, and then now I get to research them and learn about them, and that's kind of the glory of my job is I learn something new every day about a different baseball prospect, and somebody from across the room at the office will be like, "Who's this guy?" And I'll be like, "Oh, well, he's da 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 da." So I guess it's probably not the most unique, might not be the answer you were looking for, but it's certainly one of my favorites of the things that we get that come through the door.
I don't know what the most unique thing. It's an interesting question. Like I think one of the coolest things that we got this year, as a matter of fact, I don't know that we've even told anybody about this. I mean, I've told some just close friends about it, but our friend and a guy that we've done stuff with, Sincere Carey, who played at Kent State, he gave us his jersey that he wore in the NCAA tournament against Indiana, a game that Kent State lost, but nonetheless, he played in, and so he signed it to us, and we have it just hanging in the office. So that was pretty cool and unique. It's not something we advertise. It's not for sale. It's not like on eBay or anything. It's literally hanging in our office, and it's a jersey that was worn in an NCAA tournament game.
That reminds me. I do remember we didn't actually buy it, but it was at a vault sale, and a lady walked in with. She was in PR or something for the Cavs when they won the championship, and she brought her actual employee championship ring in for us to look at and like kind of give her an evaluation. We tried to buy it from her, but she didn't want to let it go. But it was still pretty neat thing to see. You can look at replicas all day long, and at the end of the day, the employee ones are not what the players got, but it was still a really neat thing that we got to check out.
Yeah, you can't sell that. You gotta hang on to that.
We tried to buy it. We were fair, but we told her, take that home. Like, do you really, really want to sell that? And she's like, and we're like, we asked her 15 times if you really want to sell it, and she ultimately took it home. So I'm glad she did. I mean, that's nothing I would ever sell. I mean, that was probably not even our plans if we did buy it, but it was a cool thing to look at.
Very cool. Well, Adam, thanks for joining us this evening. As always, always appreciate hearing the updates and the stuff I can never wrap my head around. You're at the top of your game, and we appreciate you joining us every week.
Little slice of heaven, fellas. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Adam knows his stuff. So very cool. Appreciate the dude chiming in as well. And you could do the same wherever you're watching from on any of these platforms. Drop us your comments. Let us know where you're watching, where you want us to go next, what direction. And speaking of next direction, Greenie, next week we've got a very cool announcement of a guest that will be joining us. KK Bransford, a guard for the Notre Dame women's basketball team, is going to take some time to join us on what will be probably the biggest week in one of the biggest weeks in women's basketball this year before the tournament, as Notre Dame will take on UConn later that week. And KK will join us to give us some insight. Of course, she was injured earlier and is sitting out this year. She was going to be a big part of their plans and will be moving forward. But we're going to get some real interesting insight from her. And you can see her bio there.
Yeah, what else is really interesting with her is you can follow her social media, not only just the KK Bransford, but she has kind of a podcast as well called Sidelines with KK, and she talks to some of the biggest names in women's college basketball. So, we're gonna not only just talk Notre Dame, we're gonna talk about other college basketball and kind of who she's been interviewing and what she's hearing and seeing, and just a full insight on the women's game this year. Notre Dame has played some big games so far this year. They've won some big ones. They've also lost a couple games. So, the UConn game will be another test, and as they travel down towards March, and I mean that is a team that's going to be in contention at the end of the year.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to talking to KK. I mean, she's an incredible talent. You can see their back-to-back Miss Ohio basketball in 21 and 22. She was a McDonald's All-American, headed over to South Bend, and her sister has committed to the University of Akron as well. So
That's right.
Lots of talent there, and we'll get to talk to KK next week. And her card is available through greeniesportscards.com as well, part of the team set. And if you want her individually and an individual signed, I believe you can make that happen.
Yep, those are on greeniecards.com. Absolutely.
Very cool. So, yeah.
Well, while we have that up, there's not that particular one, but the greeniecards.com, we do have 24 NIL collegiate women's basketball cards up for sale right now. Pre-order, and they will be printed soon. They will be signed and they will be sent out. It's very interesting, and the way that these girls have been posting it on social media and sharing it, and the orders that are coming in from, I can't even say all over the country, because they're coming from all over the world. I mean, there's orders from Australia. And the thing is, there's a lot of international students on some of these teams. So, this is a way for, family and friends of theirs, to get a piece of memorabilia from these collegiate athletes. So it's pretty cool. And, some of the stats that some of these girls are putting up this year, like, Reagan Bass is starting at Purdue and she's putting up, 12 points a game. And Mickey Purdue at Cleveland State is 7th in the country in scoring right now. She's over 22 points a game. So, that's very interesting. And girls are playing tough. There's Grace Kinger. She's a freshman at Ball State, learning a lot right now. Akron, we had Maddie on a couple weeks ago. She's averaging 10 points a game. So a lot of things are happening. A lot of these games are good. They're coming down. Ball State's won some pretty big games. I think they beat Texas A&M, if I saw that correctly. Olivia Brown is playing at Wright State and putting up some numbers there. And, Akron has a big game coming up. They beat Cleveland State, who's, on a terrific run again, about to open the Horizon League Series. But yeah, Michigan will be coming to Akron, I think, in 2 weeks. So, they have another big game on their schedule.
And you referenced Cleveland State. We want to send our thoughts out to Colby Maples, who's a friend of Greenie Sports Cards, friend of the show, came out to Great Lakes. Colby is the reigning Horizon League Player of the Year, injured her knee earlier this season, and it was announced today that she's going to sit out the season. And Greenie, the coincidence is unbelievable. You had Cleveland State has had back-to-back Horizon League Players of the Year in Destiny Leo and Colby Maples, and Destiny went out with a knee injury last year. Colby now this year, and the real, I think, aside from feeling for the players and what they're going through, I think the real shame of this is not being able to see, in particular, Destiny, Colby, and Mickey on the floor together. The three of them, incredible talents. Mickey was the newcomer of the year last year in the Horizon League and is amongst the nation's leaders in scoring. The fact that locally we don't get to see the three of them on the floor in a single season is it's tough. I was really looking forward to that this year.
I think we all were. I mean, that's something that we talked about all off season leading up to the beginning of the year of how many points this team was going to score with those three players. And not only that, they can all, they can defend. And Colby Maples was the Player of the Year because she can defend as well. And, It's poor kid's gotta rehab that, but she'll bounce back and she'll be strong. I mean, we've met her, we've gotten to talk to her, and we kind of know her makeup and her desire to work hard, and she'll get back next year. And you know, as Destiny did this year, and now Destiny's starting to get back in the swing of things and putting up some numbers. She had a pretty good game the last time they played. I think she put up 16 points. So it's a shame, but players will step up, right? We didn't know what we had in Mickey Purdue last year, and she stepped up in a huge way after Colby went down. I've been watching, as you guys know, I follow this a lot, and they have a girl, Macy Fagan, who they've put into the starting lineup, who is not a guard like these other girls, but kind of replacing a little bit of the defensive player like Carmen was last year, the defensive player of the year, who since graduated. Because I mean, Macy's she's tall. She's 5'11", 6 foot, and long wingspan, and yeah, there you go. She's out there defending and kind of playing the role of Carmen last year, and being a defender, not putting up the points or the rebounds, but making that necessary pass, get swinging the ball, making the offense do things that they don't want to do. So, maybe she'll be one of the people that steps in, and maybe not score like Mickey came in last year and started throwing up 20 points, but somebody has to do something. And I think Macy will be that player this year.
It's these things oftentimes create opportunities. The next man up, next woman up in this case, and we'll see. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but can you imagine if Mickey, who might be the front runner for Player of the Year in the Horizon League this year, you'll have 3 individual players in back-to-back years take home that award to Cleveland. It's Coach Kilsmeyer's done a remarkable job over there. They won the league last year. We say it almost every show. We've been bitten by the women's basketball bug, and it's a phenomenal game. And here locally and wherever you are, if there's Division I basketball and you've got a chance to go take in a game, they are so accessible. Games sometimes are free, but there's low price tickets. It's family friendly. The players are accessible, unlike in the NBA or even men's college basketball or football. The players will engage. They'll come out after and spend time in the stands and talk with kids and families and shoot baskets. It's a fantastic game too. The skill level, the shooting, the passing, the offense, defense. They play hard. As a sports fan, it's a great game to watch. And you've got of course the Caitlin Clark train and Angela Reese that shown a big light on the game. But the reality is there are fantastic players all across the country in every school. And to kind of put a bow on that, we're going to talk to one next week from the state of Ohio here, 2-time Player of the Year in KK Bransford.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And then heading to South Bend next Thursday night to watch, I believe, the number 8 Notre Dame Fighting Irish play at home against number 2 UConn. And Gino Auriemma, who I think broke the record for most wins of any college basketball coach, male or female. So that'll be interesting. And Paige Beckers, who is undoubtedly going to be the number 1 pick in the draft next year, the WNBA.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Speaking of college sports, it was a rough Saturday for this Buckeye amongst many other Buckeyes, and we're from Cleveland. We've seen our fair share of losses. I can handle losing. It's not the first time. We lost last night as on Monday Night Football. There's a difference between being disappointed that your team lost versus being completely embarrassed. And on Saturday, as a proud alumni, graduate of The Ohio State University, a former board member of the Alumni Association here, which I proudly serve that organization. I've been affiliated with the university for over 30 years. My father graduated from there. My uncle, my sister has 2 degrees from there. The Ohio State University embarrassed themselves. The players embarrassed themselves on Saturday, and not even the game, because again, we've lost games. I can be disappointed in losing, but the embarrassment that they showed, particularly after the game, is something that I've had trouble putting into words since then. And I'm not fire the coach guy. I don't want to stand on ceremony on X's and O's. And aside from the fact Ryan Day has lost 4 straight games to his rival, which is a fireable offense in the state of Ohio, I saw something having attended that game on Saturday that I can't shake. The game was over. The players, as they do, go to sing the alma mater, the Carmen, Ohio, with the fans. It's a long-standing tradition. The Carmen, Ohio, the school's alma mater, as anybody who's attended school or college, it's a very signature tradition, and it's very important. And it's one of the things that, win or lose or tie, as we've done with that school up north as well, it's the one thing that brings the fans, the students, the alumni, the players together. And in that moment, aside from what the opposition players were trying to plant their flag, the players departed in the middle of that tradition, and they ran to midfield to defend their territory. And the reality is there was only one sure way to do that and make sure that nobody plants a flag on your field. You take care of that business, 40 minutes earlier. So that happened. You lost. I don't agree with what the players did. And we have Baker Mayfield to thank for that ongoing tradition. But the fact that the alma mater was disrupted and Ryan Day stood by listless and had nothing to do with breaking that up, showing leadership, putting himself out there, while players, you could argue rightfully or wrongfully, defending their territory, fine. But the fact that shattered a long-standing tradition is the most embarrassing part for me. And once it all happened, I'm glad Jack Sawyer showed some fight and ripped the flag away, and they went to go defend their territory. And yes, Chaz, they broke the fight, but the reality is that happened in the long-standing tradition, and Ryan Day stood there and did nothing to help quell the situation. And now you had players, opposing players, you had media members getting maced on the field. It just, to me, that's the fireable offense on top of losing to your opponent. And the other year, the only thing that has kept Ryan Day in his job is the fact there's a playoffs, and the playoffs are coming. And it may have saved him for a couple other days, but I think in any other year, that would have been the end of the season. And on Monday, he likely would have been out of a job. And I don't see any pathway that he gets to stay at The Ohio State University after what happened on the field on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
If they win the national championship, you think he still gets fired?
It's a tough call. I mean, I would be okay. Again, I'm not fire the coach guy. If they let him go on Monday, I was ready. I was ready to call for that on Monday. I'm essentially calling for it today, because you cannot do that. You cannot create that environment and recover from it. And we'll see. I hope
But
they
I
win a
think
championship.
they need to have a plan. I'm all for moving on from Ryan Day too. I've had enough, and that it's not just the end of the game. You went to Ohio State, I didn't, but I'm still a huge Buckeye fan. So it's a little more close for you than it is for me, even though I know every word to the song. But it's the play on the field that does it for me, and the callings of the games and the coaching. but they need to have a plan. You can't just fire him and not know who you're going to hire, whether it's Mike Vrabel or if it's Urban Meyer. Make that known, and then you can do it. And then pay him $37 million.
Absolutely. And that the Ohio State has recovered before. I lived through the John Cooper years. We had success after that. They will again. I don't like losing. I hate being embarrassed, and you can't embarrass yourself in collegiate sports or anywhere. But I don't think we embarrassed ourselves tonight, Greenie. We filled an hour. It's as always, it's a pleasure spending time with you. We want to thank Haley on the board behind the scenes. We want to thank Adam for his insight. We want to thank the dude chiming in and everybody else that's contributed. Thank you for watching. We will be back next Tuesday with KK Bransford. And Chaz, we can continue that conversation next week, if not sooner, on what the Ohio State should do about their next coach. But Greenie, as always, may the Cards forever be in your favor.
Have a good night, everybody.